So I came out to work in the shop today, and I was getting ready to finish forging up the rings on the anvil stump, and I kind of realized that my Zomax forge blower, the gear reduction portion here, had gotten loose. And as I noticed, it's just coming apart here. So let's tear into this thing and see if we can't figure out what happened and come up with a solution so this won't happen anymore. So it looks like these bolts have come loose and they're accessed from the inside. So I'm hoping we don't have to take the whole thing apart and split the case. So we might be able to get in there using a little wobbly socket. So it looks like with a little universal joint we can get there. There's a little bolts access there from the top and the bottom. We can get to those little guys without splitting that case. One thing my granddad was always really good at doing was guessing the size of bolts. I'm guessing that's going to be a 7/16. A little tool that you could have in your kit that is just it's indispensable is what they call a universal joint. A universal joint is just like this. It's real similar to what you have on your car, on your drive shafts, what allows a drive shaft to work at an angle and still transfer power. So what that gives you the ability to do is get your sockets in a real tight locations. If you need to come in and work at an angle, you can see how that rotates there. To have one of these in your 1/4 inch drive, 3/8 and 1/2 inch drive socket sets is one of the fundamental things everyone should have in their kit. We should be able just to get in there and perfect. 7/16 too, I guessed it right. Good job, India. I thought India had used metric, but apparently they don't. See what's going on here. All right, now here's the reason why those things got loose. They didn't put a lock washer on there. That's something that anything that vibrates like that, you definitely want to have a lock washer on it at least. And we'll put Loctite on that as well. So another tool that'll save you a ton of headache is a little pin type of magnet. Granddad always had these around as well for you drop a bolt or something inside there like this one's hanging up there. You can retrieve things in very tight areas. So this one has a washer. The other one doesn't even have a washer. So one's longer, so looks like, remember, the longer one goes on the bottom. I know you hear me say it all the time, but I'll tell you, the most valuable asset I have in my shop is my granddad's old bolt bin. So the reason why these bolts came loose is that nobody from the factory ever put a lock washer on it. There's couple different types of lock washers. This kind of the star pattern you can see there, that's one type. And what it's designed to do is it kind of bites into the metal and prevents the nut from backing out. The more common type that you're going to see is the split ring type, which is right there. You can see how that is split. And so what that does is that washer is made out of really good high quality steel. And as it compresses, as the bolt compresses, it pinches that lock washer, which is constantly pushing back, and that little angle there, that little slash mark, kind of digs into the metal and makes it really unlikely for it to ever come loose. They had this washer on there, which doesn't really do any good. It's not even the right size, and so that was kind of pointless. So we'll put these two on here, and we'll add a little Loctite. So Loctite is just kind of a compound. It comes in like a paste like this, like a chapstick style, or it comes in a liquid. And there's primarily two colors. There's the blue and then there's the red. The blue doesn't hold near as hard as the red does. If you have something that you might need to get off someday, you probably want to stick with the blue. If you have something, suspension parts or things that are not typically going to come apart very often, then you absolutely don't want them to come loose. The red is the way to go. This is the name brand stuff. It's kind of expensive when you buy it. I have been using this stuff from Harbor Freight, which is kind of a copy of it. It seems to work just as good, and it's like $1 versus $6 or whatever the name brand stuff is. Before you use your Loctite, you want to make sure your surface area is really clean, and there's a way to do that that's simple. You can just use some starting fluid. Starting fluid or ether or paint stripper or anything you have like that is good, especially in the aerosol, because you could just kind of simply spray it, and what it does is it just kind of melts the grease and oils away from it, which allows the Loctite to bond a lot better. hit both sides, hit your threads, and then also the portion that the threads are going to screw into. So for this blower, I'm just going to use the blue type. I try not to use red because boy, if you ever need to get it off, it's exceedingly difficult. Yeah, I think this first bit here has kind of gone bad. It seems a little bit runny. Make sure that that ether is dry on there too, as that'll just clean it off. But you can see right there, it's kind of that's about the consistency it should be. But once we put this on here, we don't have to worry about that coming off anymore. I think we're ready to put this thing back together here now. Good job, India. 1 metric and 1 standard. I'm going to Loctite this one too. No reason for that thing to come off. There's kind of a little guard there to prevent, I guess, something large from getting in there and destroying the impeller. Finish up here with a little bit of oil. Keep this thing oiled every time, just a little squirt every time we use it. It'll last much longer. I don't think we need to worry about that thing coming loose anymore. I think that will pretty much get it sorted out. How about a manly manners? It's time for manly manners. Ooh, I found a good one here. I'm looking forward to sharing with you. Manly manners. Don't hang about the house all day if your occupation does not take you abroad. Spend regular hours in your study or den, or go out and play golf, but don't inflict your company on your wife during every minute of every day. She is fond of you, but she wants to be free sometimes, and she has business to do, even if you haven't. Ooh, a little bit of a rebuke in the back, on the back end of that. Yeah, I think that that's true. I know some folks who do have a lot of time like that, and the husband is maybe around the house too much. And I think what happens with us men is if we don't have enough to occupy our time, we become fault-finding. I know that I do. I know I've seen other men that do the same thing, and that fault finding is usually leveled at our wives, making their lives pretty miserable. Even if, I think, seems to me, even if a guy is retired, or maybe you have the ability or have designed your life where you can get your work done, or maybe you're retired young and don't have anything to do, it's best for you to get out of the house. Even if it's just across the yard, build yourself a little shop, or maybe get something going in your garage or whatever, but get out of your wife's hair. There's a time to be together and to enjoy one another, but there's also, it's also very healthy to have time apart. As far as the golf side goes, that doesn't really appeal to me, but I think the point is well taken. All right. I think that's it. So just a quick update. Been back from the fires for a couple days. I've had a lot of honey-do lists. Mrs. Wranglerstar has a lot of projects for me to do, and I've been working on that, so I haven't had a lot of time to video. But we are just finishing up the book. I'm doing the photography in conjunction with some stuff that Alan has done with us. Just finishing up. There's going to be a lot of photos in the books, a lot of illustrations and such. So wrapping that up. But we have about another week to get everything done. It'll go to press very soon. So we have the cover picked out. The writing's all done. Mrs. Wranglerstar is tightening it all up. But we're really happy with the way it turned out. I think it's going to be a great blessing for a lot of folks, and we're grateful to be able to do it. So, well, that's me. See you guys on the next video.
Started out as a feeling, which then grew